Nate Ferrer, one of our CSPs, he says, one of the things I love the most about this position is that the numbers always work. All right. So talk to you guys about how to plan it, how to do the numbers. We have a special guest today, and I'm really pumped up. Shout out to Kuval for connecting us here in Southland Division. But we have to talk to you guys about the 10K guide. A 2-time Silver Cup district manager drove in from Arizona today to talk to you guys about how to dominate a push period. He's featured on the Changing Lives, Selling Knives podcast. If you guys love everything he says today, you can hear more of him on that podcast. But again, someone who gets it all done. Look at this. Yes, do you guys see him there next to a helicopter? And that's the Alps, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's the Alps. That's the Swift South. That's amazing. Look at that. And then I just threw a picture of us in there because I want to be part of this as well. But assistant division manager for the Rising Sun division, guys, Mr. Andrew Nickerson. I'm super excited for this talk. So hopefully you guys have every piece of note possible.
Hell yeah.
You're on.
So I can take over this chair. I'm not as dressed as yeah, you need to go move my car. So I'm not as dressed as well as Mr. Hayes here, but I got my flamingo shirt on. It's my daughter's. It's their favorite shirt that I have, so I wear it a lot. Anyway, I'm excited to talk to you guys about the 10K guide. I love the push week. It's my favorite part of Vector. I think about the push week. It's really just, it's 2 weeks of growth. It's 2 weeks of challenge, but it's more importantly, 2 weeks of transformation. I want you to write that down. 2 weeks of transformation. And as far as my talk goes, I'm not sure how much is going to overlap with the previous messages because I didn't hear them. So I'm going to try to give you guys fresh material. But if there is some overlap, understand if there's things that you've heard multiple times today from multiple different people, it's because they work and it's because they matter and it's because it's important. All right. So the first thing I'll say when it comes to going after a big push week, and this one is so important, is the push is 90% preparation, 10% execution. Right? 90% preparation, 10% execution. There's a lot of people who say, oh, I want to go after a big push. I want to hit 10K. I want to hit 15K, but then they don't do any prep work, right? And they think that they can just like turn it on the day the push starts. And that's not quite how it works, right? Muhammad Ali, right, famously said the fight is won long before I step into the ring, right? The fight was won in the preparation and the training and the work that he put in before the actual fight itself, right? So same concept here. You got to put in the preparation that's needed to mentally, emotionally, as well as physically get organized for the push. Right, my division manager would always say, P90X, right, that workout program, P90X, 90 days to transform your body, right? 90 days to get that body you want, get in the best shape of your life. And I think the push week it's kind of like V16X, right? 16 days to transform your business, 16 days to transform your income, transform your personal and professional skills. So you can do anything for 16 days, right? 16 days is really not that long of a period of your time. It's not even that long of a period of your summer, right? You can do anything for 16 days. Right? And if you really break down the math on what does it really take to hit 10K, it's 40 demos, right? It's 40 demos, right? And I know we have a document and that I couldn't find. I'm going to send to Hayes later, or they might be making a new one, but it's basically just like a grid. It has 40 boxes on a sheet of paper, right? And the idea is like, just fill up the 40 boxes with demos. And if you do 40 demos, you will hit 10K, right? I've never had a rep do 40 demos in the push with qualified customers and not hit 10K. It's never happened, right? Because it works. We know this business, right? So if you break it down, I think your push is 17 days, 3 demos a day, right? 3 demos a day over 17 days. That is really not that hard. 3 demos a day, right? You sleep until 11, do a demo at 12, 1:30, and 3 o'clock. You're done by 4:30. You could still like get your Netflix session in. You can still get your workouts in. You can still have your social time, right? Like 3 demos a day is really not that ridiculous. If you're thinking of anything less than 10K, are you really pushing, right? Are you really pushing that hard, right? Now, I may make this sound pretty easy. I will say that a 10K push is not necessarily easy. The science behind it is very simple. It's a formula. If you follow it, if you stick to it, it works, right? It's a proven formula. If you focus on the phone calls, you do the demos, you will hit 10K, right? The hardest part of the push, though, is staying motivated throughout it. The hardest part of the push is when there's the distractions along the way. The hardest part of the push is when you have that bad day or that bad demo and having the mental strength to overcome those things, right? So I think it's important to understand the breakdown of a push. A 17-day push, a 10K push, or a 20K push even, isn't 17 great days that all go awesome, right? If the push was 17 great days, it'd be way too easy and everyone would do it, right? Like the part of the push is overcoming those days that kick you in the butt, right? So basically, here's the breakdown of the push, and you should write this down. In any push, I don't care how it works, right? You will have 4 good days, okay? 4 good days. You will have 4 bad days. 4 good days, 4 bad days, 4 great days, and then you'll have 4 wild card days, okay? 4 good days, 4 bad days, 4 great days, and 4 wild card days, right? So a good day being like, what we expect, a good day being like, $500 to $1,000 in sales. You get a couple orders under your belt, right? Maybe that's, doing 3 or 4 demos, having 3 or 4 smaller sales, or maybe doing 3 or 4 demos and selling like a galley. Like it wasn't like a great day. It wasn't a bad day. It was an okay day, right? The next is you're going to have 3 bad days, right? 3 bad days where you stack with 4 demos. You just have, a bunch of reschedules. You have some no sales, really challenges you, right? Where you sell between like $0 and $100, right? You're going to have 3 great days, right? 3 great days where you're, great days like, 1,500, 2K plus, right? Where everything goes right. You sell a couple sets, sell a homemaker 2, maybe an ultimate, maybe a kitchen, right? And then you're going to have 4 wild card days, right? You're going to have wild card days. And a wild card day, what that day is that's the day that could go either way. It could be a great day and it could be a bad day, but the wild card day depends on your mental state, right? So if you're going into that day, right, you never know when that wild card day is going to come. So if that wild card day happens after a really crappy day, right, and you take that negative, crappy energy in with you to that next day, that wild card day now becomes a bad day, right? Whereas if you instead had hit the reset button, right, on the mental state and went into that wild card day with the right focus, that wild card day now becomes a great day. Cool. So you've got to maintain, you got to be able to hit the reset button every single night, right? We've all had those days that were just not great, right? And it's super easy to go to bed and take that with you and wake up the next morning and still be thinking about that. But putting a reset button next to your bed. We had a kid on our team, I'm not even joking, he had an easy button from Staples, right? It's like you hit it, it's like that was easy. And he put it next to his bed and he taped a piece of paper over it that said reset. And he just would hit the reset button every single night. Like he's like, all right, reset. And that, it just kind of like, it was so silly, but it mentally, kind of just reminded him, all right, nothing that happened today needs to affect what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So you got to win the mental game. Don't focus on sales, focus on the demos, right? We see this a lot when someone's going after a 10K fast start or a 10K push, negatively and positively, right? It's like if you are consistently only focusing on the sales, you're going to be all over the place mentally, right? Who's been in that point of the business where you're like, one day you're like, this is the best job ever. And then like the next day you're like, this sucks. And you're like questioning everything. And it's like, because you're focused on the sales instead of the process, right? And it's easy when you're focused too much on the results that you're getting. It's easy to get that roller coaster. You sell a homemaker and you're like, ah! And if you have like 2 no sales, you're like, oh, this sucks. And you feel off pace. So instead of focusing on the sales, focus on the process, right? And what's the process? It's making sure you're completing 3 demos a day, making sure you're not going to bed unless the next 2 to 3 days of the push are already booked up, right? And if you're consistently hitting your demo numbers and your phone numbers, that's what matters. And that's what you should be fired up about, not the homemaker you sold, right? Because if on the first day of the push, you sell 2K and you're fired up, but then you let that excitement make you complacent and you don't keep doing what you need to do. Like you could sell 2K on the first day of the push, but if at the end of the push you were still at 2K, would it be very exciting? No, right? So focus on the process, not the sales, right? Next big key to planning your push the right way is staying energized. And this is an important one. I think I heard Benny talk about this, but staying energized, making sure you're eating right, right? Eating a healthy diet, right? I remember in a push, right? And this was pre-quarantine. This was like 10 years ago, but I remember in one of my first push weeks, I didn't think about like the fuel that I was giving myself. I was going to appointment to appointment to appointment. And I was like forgetting to eat. And when I did eat, I would just like stop at the nearest like fast food place that I saw. And I was just giving my body just like terrible fuel. And I'm pushing so hard and working so hard. And like halfway through the push, I just hit a wall where I just like died, had no energy. And it just like pulled me down. Right. So it's so important to eat right. It's important to exercise, right? It's important to do things that are exercising you mentally as well. Listening to podcasts, listening to a Vector Connect audio. This is another big thing during the push. Talk to people who bring you energy. Talk to people who push you. I'm not saying like if you have negative friends or negative, and maybe not negative, but people that you know are going to distract you. I'm not saying that you can't be friends with them, but you can't be friends with them during the next 18 days. Okay. Like you got to tell them that you're going on a trip and you're not going to be around for 18 days and that your phone's going to be off. And that way they don't try to bug you. You got to focus on your goal, right? Talk to people who bring you energy and push you. This is another huge one. Tie mom and dad into your goals. Make sure they understand that you're going to be working hard and why you're going to be working hard. If you're dating someone, making sure boyfriend and girlfriend are tied in, right? Like making sure they understand, because the amount of push weeks I've seen ruined by the needy girlfriend or boyfriend, right? Which it's okay to feel needed sometimes in a relationship, but like if it's affecting the goals you have for yourself, it's not super fun. You feel like you have a choice, right? So that's not a girlfriend or boyfriend issue usually. It's usually just a breakdown in communication and them not being tied in and understanding what you're going after, right? So making sure your girlfriend or boyfriend are tied into what you're doing and why you're doing it. Making sure mom and dad are tied into what you're doing and why you're doing it. And here's a good line for you, right? Mom, I want you to be one of the reasons I do hit my goal, not one of the reasons I don't. Right? I want you to be one of the reasons I do hit my goal, not one of the reasons I don't. I'd really appreciate your support. I'd really appreciate you pushing me. If you know that I'm supposed to be working and I end up watching Netflix on the couch, I want you to like turn it off, unhook the router, like get me back to work. I want you to hold me accountable to my goals, Mom. Right? Like that is the stuff that our top reps think about. You got to have people that are helping hold you accountable. Next thing I wrote down here in my notes for, going after 10K is there's a difference between being interested in hitting 10K, interested in succeeding, versus committed to succeeding, right? Committed to hitting 10K, right? You're going to write down this quote, and this might hurt some of you, but commitment means doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you said it in has left. Okay, I'll repeat that. Commitment is doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood that you said it in has left. And I think about the world right now, and I think about society as a whole, and I think the word commitment has kind of lost its meaning over the last 20 or 30 years, right? It seems like people don't really know how to commit to stuff anymore. People jump in and out of relationships. People jump in and out of jobs. People jump in and out of different things, right? But what does it truly mean to commit to a goal? And what kind of value is that going to give you as a human, as a person, and as a professional when you can use the push week, right, to really learn what it means to commit and push and follow through, right? The lessons from the push are more important than the push itself. But commitment means doing what you said you were going to do long after the mood you set it in has left. Meaning, if you say, I'm committed to hitting 10K, I'm committed to doing 3 demos a day, it means you can't just give up halfway through the push when you're not on pace. It means you follow through on what you said you were going to do. Okay, last couple notes here, and then we'll get moving, right? But 90% preparation, right? I said that earlier, 90% preparation, 10% execution. So what does it mean to prepare? Number one, you got to get your list ready. And I'm sure that's been talked about tonight, but you got to get your list ready. Minimum 100 names and numbers on that list, right? 100 names and numbers. Like if you need to stay up till 2 a.m. tonight working on it, then stay up till 2 a.m. Now, hopefully you've already got a list made. I'm assuming that if you're at this meeting, it's because you're not a scrub. Your manager obviously saw something in you to invite you this, right? But 100 names and numbers on your list at a minimum. Because when you do all day call day tomorrow, you want to be able to call all 100 people and possibly call all 100 people twice, right? And if you're making that many calls, you can't help but have a great start to the push. Okay, and last couple notes, have your schedule mapped out, have every hour of every day mapped out. What days are you working? What days are you doing? What days are you going after 5 or 6 demos? What days are you only able to go after 2 demos, right? What days are you, when are your phone times, right? When are you working out? When are you, going to be doing your personal growth stuff? Which, by the way, personal growth, it's always funny when people are like, oh, I don't have time to listen to audios. I don't have time. It's like, there's this thing called net time. Net times means you can be doing something else. So like taking a shower, getting ready for the day, brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, you can listen to a podcast during that, right? In your net time and still grow. And think about what that's going to do to your mental state starting off your day like that, right? But so important, know when your demo times are going to be. Understand that phoning is the most important item in your schedule. Phone time is the single most important event in your schedule, personal or professional. And it's always for people, well, my family comes first, or my personal life, like I have things that are priorities. That's great. But phone time allows you to have an income, which allows your priorities to be even better. Without phone time, right, there's no demos. Without demos, there's no sales. Without sales, there's no income. And it's like, prioritize your phone time so you can have more freedom with your family. Prioritize your phone time so you can have more income in your life, right? Which will allow you to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want, right? So phone time, single most important thing, plan it in and commit to it, right? Phone like a champion tomorrow. Book up 10 demos, 15, 20 plus. I'm interested to see it. You show me the person who books the most demos tomorrow, I'll show you the person who's probably going to sell the most in the first half of the push. Right? Take advantage of the other part, phone daily. Take advantage. You want to know the best phone time of the day. If you haven't learned this already, some of you might not even know this because you're not even awake. The best phone time of the day, every single day, 7:30 to 9 a.m. 7:30 to 9 a.m. phone time is the best phone time of the entire day. I could go into the psychology and the philosophy between why that is, but it's like, you might not be in a good mood because you're a college student used to sleeping in, but think about what time do your parents wake up to get ready for work in the morning, right? When are they up? When are they at work? And are your parents usually in better moods in the morning or in the evening? Usually the morning, because they haven't gone through all the bullshit in their day yet, right? You get a phone call in the morning as a Mac, you're like, whatever, what is this? And you answer. At the end of the day, you're like, nuh-uh, I'm not answering, I'm done, right? People answer at a higher rate in the morning. I remember Chase Lundgren. Chase was in his 3rd week of the job before the push week started. So he had only been in the business for 3 weeks. And he committed, he said, I'm going to go after a 30K push. And it's funny, Chase didn't hit 30K. He only hit 20, right? But he was thinking big. And one thing that Chase committed to, he said, I'm not going to focus on the sales. I'm going to focus on the demos. And I'm going to make sure every single morning, no matter what, I'm booking 3 demos and I'm not stopping until I book 3 demos. So he would meet me at the office every single morning at 7:30 a.m. And it was funny, we would compete. Every week it would be like we try to get there earlier and earlier, or every day we try to get earlier so we could beat each other. And he freaking beat me every day. It pissed me off. He'd be like waiting. He's like, I got your breakfast. I'm like, screw you, man. It'd be like 7:15. I'm like, we agreed on 7:30, you jerk. And he beat me to the office every single morning. And he got there. We ate breakfast together. We high-fived and we got on the phones and he would book demos. And there was some days where he would start phoning at 7:30 and he just had terrible luck. And he didn't end up booking his 3rd demo till 10. But he said, no matter what, I am booking 3 demos every single morning. And because of that, right? 16 days of the push, do the math, 3 demos times 16 on top of the demos he booked before the push. And that's not even counting the phone calls he made in the evenings after that, right? He was able to hit 20K because he always had demos. Right, last thing that I'll wrap up with is just remember that in the push, who you become is more important than what you get, right? Who you become during the push is more important than what you get. So with that being said, it was my pleasure to speak to you all. I'm super excited for you guys. I can't wait to see on the sales report who the champions of the push were. And that's it for me.